Another edition of Off the Wall by Financial Mirror. Today we're talking about the situation with the banks, and in particular with the Hellenic Bank that announced interim results. With us today is Michael Olympios, an economist, corporate consultant, and many other titles, which we will find out more throughout the season. Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
The idea is to have an interesting and lively discussion about ongoing issues in Cyprus. Hellenic Bank has been in the headlines recently because of changes after the banking collapse about 10 years ago, restructuring of all banks, etc. And Hellenic seems to have come out quite well out of this crisis. Hellenic Bank also announced interim results just a few days ago, which were quite encouraging, but maybe reading between the lines is not so, but we can discuss that very briefly. So tell me a few words about the interim results, Michael.
Like you said, Hellenic came out quite well the last few years. And based on their interim results, I would say they did quite well. They have announced a 10% increase from last year's interim results, and they have announced 189 million, which is quite good, in my opinion. It shows a strong performance, and they have managed to keep costs at a more
manageable level,
acceptable level, I would say. Hellenic Bank and other banks have been struggling with labor costs. I mean, that was their Achilles heel over the past decade, I would say. Now they seem to have managed to have a more acceptable cost structure.
So they're controlled costs.
Yeah. However, there's still a lot of room for improvement. Electronic banking is the future, and they are facing increasing competition from even platforms like
EMIs like Revolut, etc.
Yeah,
yes, of course.
That kind of thing. And
which
also,
is a wake-up call, actually.
Right. And also from stronger banks overseas, because Hellenic Bank, for example, has been struggling to serve big clients with a lot of offshore operations, like in shipping, for instance. And because of their risk management policies or whatever, they are unable to serve some of these customers. And those customers looked elsewhere.
So in that case, Michael, where are these steady profits for Hellenic Bank coming from?
Well, they do have a huge retail base, and as you know, the Hellenic Bank absorbed what was left of the
cooperative bank, yes.
Cooperative bank in 2018, okay, and that was a huge part of retail, with a great deal of mortgage loans, and that continues.
Well, yes, because we've seen recently data from the central bank that is discussing lending rates,
Right.
where we have deposit rates and lending rates, the margin widening, lending rates going up and deposit rates going down,
Right. Well,
month on month.
yeah, and I guess one can say that the impressive increase in profits from Hellenic and other banks comes from a reduction in competition.
Well, exactly. What is the scene with the competition? Because you mentioned that Hellenic Bank took over the good bank of cooperative.
Right.
So the bad bank went to another way for full recovery. Bank of Cyprus has also done similar actions with its portfolios, getting rid of a lot of toxic portfolios or non-performing portfolios. But with the banking sector shrinking and no new players coming in, basically there's a lack of competition. So
right. The consolidation of the
is
banking,
it healthy?
The consolidation of the banking sector in Cyprus took some unhealthy turn, in my opinion, and that turn ignore fundamental principles of competition that would otherwise have allowed both deposit rates and lending rates to be more favorable for consumers. Now, according to the latest statistics by the Central Bank of Cyprus, the consumer lending rates increased to 6.67% compared to 6.18% last month.
That's a half a percentage point.
Yeah, that is a huge increase. And on the other side, we have deposit rates rising.
Dropping from
dropping to 1.96%.
Yeah.
Compared to 2.17% last month.
Yeah.
So it clearly shows that the consolidation of the banking sector that took place over the past years hit competition as well. And we can safely argue that competition in the banking sector in Cyprus is suffering. And I believe that the Ministry of Finance, Central Bank, and the European Central Bank should take note of that, because that is against the requirements of a healthy economy. A healthy economy requires a healthy banking sector, and a healthy banking sector needs competition to work. Otherwise, it will be an impediment to growth.
Well, this takes us back to over a decade ago, when again we had at the time two giant banks, maybe a medium-sized bank, and a handful of other smaller banks. We have the same situation now, with some of the banks being restructured and some being taken over, even some smaller banks reappearing, new banks appearing. But again, we have now two giants controlling the vast majority of the banking sector, and just less than a handful of small banks doing merchant banking or very specialized operations. So is this healthy, or should we see more consolidation?
Well, I don't see much room left for consolidation, other than what's happening the past few months between Eurobank and Hellenic.
Yes, we'll get there.
Right, and other than that, there might be a future takeover possibly of Bank of Cyprus by a Greek bank.
Yes, there were rumors going around. Yes.
Right. I mean, it is something that many people say that it could happen, but not right now.
Okay.
Right now, what's in the cards is the acquisition, or the full acquisition, of Hellenic by Eurobank.
Mm-hmm.
And there are different steps that are taking place until the ultimate objective of Eurobank is realized, which is the full acquisition of Hellenic and the complete merge of its operations, of Hellenic's operations, into the Eurobank Cyprus.
And hence part of the Eurobank network.
Right.
Internationally.
Right.
Well, what's the latest news on that front,
well,
Michael?
As you probably know, the one of the outside major shareholders is effectively Logicom through Dimitra Investments, and we see a resistance in that front
to the Eurobank takeover.
To the Eurobank takeover.
Yeah.
They have put forward different statements, and they tried with the authorities to show that that acquisition would impede competition. It didn't work. The authorities gave a green light to Eurobank. And we are going to see now Eurobank taking steps that eventually will force the owner of, the majority holder of Logicom, Mr. Varnavas Irinarchos, who, by the way, runs the most successful listed company in the Cyprus Stock Exchange, Logicom.
Yes.
Over the past 25 years, had a spectacular growth with massive overseas operations, healthy profits, paying dividends, respecting shareholders. I mean, that's an admirable company, Logicom.
Yeah.
So this guy is he knows what he's doing.
Okay. But what happens in the case of Hellenic? I mean, he's an IT company.
In the case of Hellenic, he's obviously trying to squeeze something more
for his investment.
For his investment. I mean, that's clear. Now, Eurobank has some aces
up its sleeve.
Yeah, and one of them is the board. They are appointing their people
on the Hellenic board.
Yes. Yeah, and from my investigation, they are a top banker in Cyprus, Mr. Michael Olympios, which
CEO of Eurobank Cyprus for many years.
For many years, and a very successful CEO. He's probably the best top banker we have in Cyprus, this guy. So they are going to appoint their top man in Hellenic to run Hellenic as the CEO of Hellenic.
Yeah.
Now, that will pave the way for Hellenic to become later a
more streamlined within Eurobank.
A part of Eurobank in the future.
Yeah.
Now, the other ace Eurobank has up their sleeve is a capital increase.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
So they can go with a capital increase of Hellenic, and then, of course, everybody else, including Logicom, will have to put their hand deep in their pockets
to participate in the
in order to
increase.
in order to maintain their stake. Otherwise, they will be diluted, as we all know.
But we saw that again in Hellenic Bank with wargaming the Church of Cyprus and all those shareholders whose stakes were eventually diluted.
Right. So they have, Eurobank has this option. Now, whether Logicom will play along, that remains to be seen.
Okay. Michael, thank you very much. We will be following up on that, and we'll be monitoring the situation at Hellenic Bank and seeing what happens from Eurobank to Hellenic Bank and their boardroom activities. So thank you very much, and we'll rediscover new changes in Hellenic Bank very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Εντάξει, Νίκ.